Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of Fan Talk, your favorite podcast by your favorite fan. That is me, Kyle Brinchley, in the house on this Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Fan Talk. Fan Talk's a podcast by the fans, for the fans. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. You can find Fan Talk anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm also on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe if you like what you're hearing. I got the Rogue One posters, I got the sign, I got my book loft candle, so we're nice and cozy on this spring Friday. We'll be talking March Madness. It is now over. It is so sad that it's over. We'll put a bow on that and move on to bigger and greater things. We'll take a look at the Masters, which is happening right now this weekend. And a team makes the NHL playoffs for the first time in franchise history. We'll look at that and much more here on Fan Talk. Again, welcome to Fan Talk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's jump right in. For the last couple weeks, we've been talking about college basketball so extensively. College basketball owns March. And now that March is over and college basketball is over, we're moving on to bigger and better things. But before we do that, let's give our flowers to the Michigan Wolverines, who won their first men's basketball national championship since 1989. Now, a lot of you listening probably weren't alive in 1989. I sure was not alive in 1989. If your parents remember, your parents are probably kicking it in their teenage years or 20s. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Tim Burton's Batman, the Nintendo, Wash Jeans, Madonna. It had been that long since Michigan had won a national championship. Now they are back on top of the college basketball world. And as good as they were, I think a lot of people were sleeping on them. I think a lot of people were so surprised that they just absolutely punched Arizona in the mouth. I think a lot of people thought Arizona was going to get the best of Michigan in that Final Four game, but Michigan beat them good. They beat them good. Then they played a very good UConn team, a UConn team that, again, made their way to the national championship. They'd won 2 back-to-back national championships in 23 and 24, and their third national championship appearance in the last 4 seasons. UConn, Michigan did not disappoint. Michigan ultimately got the dub. That team was loaded. And news that they're bringing Elliot Cadeau back for his senior season, that's big time. That is big time. And Michigan also nabbed Estrella. He was on Tennessee, transfers into Michigan next year. Watch out for the Wolverines. How did your bracket do? My brackets, I made 12 brackets, and only one of them had Michigan winning it all. And even that one did not do terribly well. I didn't get a lot of good picks in the first and second rounds. And ultimately, even in the Final Four, I think Michigan was my only Final Four team. Maybe I had Arizona. But Michigan wins it all. And that is your 2026 college basketball national champion. Put a bow. We're moving on to the next sport. Now, you're wondering, April. Okay, what's going on with April? NFL ends in February. College football ends in January. March Madness ends beginning of April. March is over. We're moving into April and May. What is April and May? Well, it would not be April without the Masters, the greatest golf tournament in the world. And I'll give you a live look right now. Round 2 is in progress. So they started yesterday. They go yesterday, today, Saturday, and Sunday. Last year, Rory McIlroy won it. Of course, he's been there before. He knows what's up. Currently, Justin Rose is tied for first with Rory McIlroy and Sam Burns at -5. Some other noticeable names: Scotty Scheffler there at -1. Xander Schauffele is there at -2. Brooks Koepka. A lot of these big names, the guys who have been there before, they got their names in the hunt. Justin Thomas, even Bubba Watson, still going strong. If you have some free time today, you're like, there's no NHL games. There's no more college basketball. I'm not quite in the baseball spirit yet. Go watch the Masters. It goes from today, tomorrow, into Sunday. Who's going to bring home the green jacket this week? You'll have to find out. Comment down below who you think is going to win it all. All right, another thing that also happens in April and May, we have the NHL playoffs. Now, there's only about 4 or 5 more games left in the regular season, so we are winding down, and it has been a fantastic year for hockey. If you go back a couple months into the Olympics, both men's and women's from the United States, won the gold medal in ice hockey. Hockey's bigger than ever, especially here in the 801, with the Utah Mammoth in their second year being a franchise. They have officially clinched a playoff spot. Now that's pretty impressive. With their win last night over the Nashville Predators 4-1, the Utah Mammoth clinched a playoff spot. That is huge. So this second year a franchise has been around and they make the playoffs? Absolutely crazy. This is reminiscent of the Golden Knights. Remember when Las Vegas first came to Las Vegas and they made the Stanley Cup and won the Stanley Cup? I believe it was in their third year of existence. That's pretty wild. Big, great things for the Utah Mammoth going forward. If the playoffs started today, they would play the Edmonton Oilers, who are the number 1 seed in the Pacific. Utah Mammoth, of course, the wild card seed, the first wild card seed. Los Angeles Kings, Nashville Predators, Winnipeg Jets, San Jose Sharks. Those are the 4 teams fighting for that second wild card spot. Again, there's only 4 or 5 games left in the regular season, so it should be a fantastic end to the season. Utah Mammoth currently on a 5-game winning streak. Now, with the Mammoth making the postseason, it made me wonder, and if you did not know this, the Utah Mammoth used to be the Arizona Coyotes. When was the last time the Arizona Coyotes made the Stanley Cup, made the postseason? Well, I did some research, and I found that the last time they made the postseason was in the 2020 season. Now, the 2020 season, if you remember, COVID, you remember that? 6 years ago, obviously COVID put the sports world into kind of this weird spot. The NBA played in a bubble, the NHL had an expanded playoffs, and that's the reason the Coyotes got in, because they did not qualify for the postseason for pretty much every other year until that time. The last time they made the postseason was the 2011-2012 season. 14 years ago. Absolutely crazy. They made the postseason 3 times there in 2009, 2010, 2011. And they've really only made the postseason 8 times in their 27-year history. So the Coyotes, not a very good franchise. They moved to Utah. Last year, they were just a couple points away from making the postseason. This year, they make the postseason in their second ever year. The Utah Mammoth, breaking records. Nobody can stop Tusky and their Mamboni. I'll be watching more of the NHL playoffs this year, I think, than the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs are probably the only time I'll really follow NBA basketball. The NBA regular season has kind of become unwatchable, in my opinion. You got the teams that are actually playing, and there's about 10 teams in each conference that are actually playing. The rest of the teams are just trying to lose. They're just trying to tank. And I've done many episodes on my thoughts on tanking. Go check those out. But they're really just trying to tank. They're trying to lose. They're not competitive. It's not a good product on the court. And even when it is 2 teams that are fighting for good positioning in the playoffs or good records, it's not a great product. The NBA has lost me, I will say. I've lost interest in the NBA. I will watch the playoffs. The playoffs do bring a little bit of excitement. It does bring a level of interest, but it's really lost me. I'd prefer to watch the NHL playoffs. I'd prefer to watch the NHL season because there's just more heart. There's more will. There's more excitement. It's a better product. NBA playoffs, though, again, we're getting to the end of the NBA season as well. It's looking like the seeds are pretty much locked up. It looks like in the Western Conference, those seeds are pretty much locked up. Eastern Conference, there could be some fluctuation between the 5, 6, 7, 8 seed, but the rest of it is pretty much locked up. The Charlotte Hornets are going to make the playoffs for the first time since 2015, I believe, 2016. It's been a long time for the Charlotte Hornets, breaking that long streak for playoff droughts. The Detroit Pistons are on top of the East. Thunder are on top of the West. We should see, of course, the Jazz are nowhere near the postseason, perhaps next season, but we shall see. It's a fun time of year because you have the NHL playoffs, you have the NBA playoffs, and there's usually at least one of those on every single night, sometimes both on at the same time. So if you have that YouTube TV, if you have that multi-screen, you can watch those multiple games at the same time. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today here on Fan Talk. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment down below if you like what you see and or hear. Spotify, please leave a review if you're so inclined. And I will see you guys next week for another edition of Fan